the first case of someone actually being arrested in Connecticut for possession of an unregistered, what they call, assault weapon. It has finally happened.
Well, you know, it's if you're going to pick a test case, pick a test case with a guy that's got an IQ of about 12.
It is the Portuguese FBP M48 submachine gun.
Welcome to Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We're going to talk in this panel about the first case of someone actually being arrested in Connecticut for possession of an unregistered, what they call, assault weapon. It has finally happened.
Well, you know, it's if you're going to pick a test case, pick a test case with a guy that's got an IQ of about 12. This guy, he's 65 years old. James Toigo is his name, and he lives in a small community, Milford, Connecticut, population about 50,000. Well, there's two police officers near his house directing traffic, and he decides that that's a good time to go out on his porch with his pistol and shoot and murder a helpless squirrel.
Well, at least the shot was not from his unregistered modern military rifle. Yes, but you're right. It was within earshot of cops who were just down the road.
And Milford's a quiet little town.
Yeah,
it's a really nice little bedroom community kind of thing.
You're going to hear, I mean, in a town that small, you're going to be like, no, there was a gunshot in the middle of the day. What's going on?
So even though it's probably not the hotbed of activity that some places are, these officers were on their game. They heard the shot. They ran into the backyard. They found the recently deceased squirrel, and they decided to investigate a little bit further, you know, and they found several firearms.
Apparently the unregistered assault rifle, as Emily said, was not used to do the hit on the poor unfortunate squirrel. But of course this started the ball rolling for the cops. They went in and looked and found and took him into custody.
Found is the important word, found.
Well, it caused the investigation, and then it snowballed, and then bad things happened.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, first of all, you know, once it makes its way through the court system, you know, if there's going to be search and seizure issues and where this actually winds up. But this guy has a laundry list of charges. Unlawful discharge of a firearm, cruelty to an animal.
Well,
That's pretty cruel. Yeah.
First degree reckless endangerment, second degree breach of the peace, failure to register an assault rifle, and 3 counts of possession of large capacity magazines.
Lucky he wasn't charged for murder with the squirrel.
Well, and here is the problem because of the Connecticut law. That unregistered assault rifle is a Class D felony. You're looking at possibly 3 years in prison. So this is going to go somewhere. And as this is the first case, there is no way that the Attorney General in Connecticut is going to look at this and say, well, this isn't really a good case, we're going to let this guy slide. They can't.
No, especially given the manner in which they got there. Now, you're right, there may be no one's really clear on how the police got inside the house.
Right.
They could have had exigent circumstances, probable cause because they ran into the backyard, saw him with a handgun, then he turns and goes in the house. Maybe he's going to kill everybody in the place. They go in after him and see the riot. Who knows? Maybe he invited him in. I've had more than one client, the police are like, can we come in and look around? Sure, I got nothing to hide. Oh, except for that rifle over there in the corner.
We'll have more Fired Up when we come back. Check us out on our YouTube channel at YouTube/FiredUpWithBob Irwin.
So it will be interesting to see as it plays out. But I think Bob's absolutely right. They're going to chew this one like a bone.
We don't know the details of, like you said, if there was probable cause or whether to let them in the door. But it's going to be interesting how it pans out. And of course, he's going to be the example set as being the first. And unfortunately, who knows if the squirrel's family is going to file a wrongful death civil suit against him.
Hey,
too.
you know what? Somebody's going to go after him, and he really isn't a sympathetic, at least on paper. And he may be the nicest guy in the neighborhood. He may feed the homeless. He may, donate all of his wealth, but he's going to have the animal rights individuals mad for shooting the squirrel. He's going to have the neighborhood preservationists in Milford upset because he discharged a firearm, which admittedly you don't discharge firearms inside city limits. This is stupid behavior. So it's going to be hard to get people to come to his defense verbally because he's not a sympathetic individual on paper. And
I'd have to disagree. I think the gun rights people in Connecticut, and there's bunches of them that are worried about this, they're not going to let this case go without the best defense they can put up, because they have to put up a defense. I mean, this is going to become the
They're going to have
test
to
case
put up
of
a
the law.
defense,
Sure.
but the client, the guy is like Mike said, it's going to be hard to make him look good.
look, this would have been so much better if it was a grandmotherly type who called the police because her cat was in the tree, and while the fireman was up in the tree getting the cat, they looked through her second floor window and saw the AR. That's a case everybody can get behind. This guy is out in the backyard exterminating squirrels. He's not going to be popular.
It was only one squirrel. Now give my client a break.
My client a break? Is that what you said?
I'm on the gun guy's side here, because this case needs to go away if possible, obviously. And I don't think I'm not the lawyer on the panel, but I don't think the police can be faulted for entering the house even if he didn't let them in. They're in a quiet town. They hear a gunshot, and they go to the door and he says, "You can't come in."
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Of course they're going to. Now they're going to go in because he's either let them in, or if he won't, they're going to go in. They have to. Who knows how many dead people are in the house? So I don't think the
rest
PC
of the cast
is going
of
to be a
Snow
problem.
White will never see the light of day.
The rest of the little fuzzy critters are all shaking in the backyard.
The one place where they might have a Fourth Amendment argument is if they got in the house and he surrendered, and then they proceeded to toss the place for 2.5 hours, But if the rifle was just sitting there with all of his other guns out for cleaning or something, and it's plain view, it's done.
It's very likely that's what happened, but we don't know for all the details. But this case is going to become an interesting one in the Connecticut system because it's bound to. The NRA and everybody's going to have to jump in and say, no, you can't seize a rifle because it's unconstitutional law, and it'll go from there. So we'll be back right after these messages. Don't go away.
We'll have more Fired Up when we come back.
It is the Portuguese FBP M48 submachine gun.
Check us out on our YouTube channel at YouTube/Fired Up with Bob Irwin.
And we are back here on Fired Up. Most people have seen in the press that our beloved adversary, ex-Mayor Bloomberg, has announced that he is funding his new organization with $50 million in order to stop what he calls the gun violence in the United States. I have to look at my notes. This is Everytown for Gun Safety is the name of the organization. It is a combination of Mayors Against Illegal Guns and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. That really says it all.
Just rolls off the tongue. Right. Well, Bloomberg believes that these moms are his best target to turn them into these rabid, angry letter writers and picketers to change the way that America votes. He apparently doesn't realize that like 99% of the time these firearms are used for sport or legal hunting or self-defense, and these moms are a part of that.
Absolutely. And the idea here apparently is to dump a whole bunch of his personal fortune into a grassroots campaign. I'm not sure how you can seed grassroots from the top down, but he's trying it. And to get an opportunity to counter the NRA. He thinks the NRA is influencing all these elections and spending all this money, getting pro-Second Amendment individuals elected. So he wants to get pro-gun control individuals elected in their place so he can influence national politics, because they didn't have a really good year in the last 2 years trying to influence the national dialogue. And so this is his way of changing America to more correctly fit his definition, apparently.
Well, people have to realize that that election, the change it's done at the ballot box. It's not done by petitions and letters and all of this. And the NRA, he's actually going after the good people with the guns. He's not going after the bad people. The NRA sponsors police programs, gun safety, Eddie Eagle. There are so many good things that the NRA does, and he's going personally after them. He's not going after the criminals with the gun. He's going after the legitimate American citizens who use guns for self-protection, sport, everything else. I'm sure that the NRA is probably thrilled that he is the one leading the charge against them, because this guy is just, he's so out of touch with reality, it just boggles the mind. I mean,
well, he's rabid anti-gun. You know, people talk about gun nuts. He's a gun nut because he it doesn't make any sense what his argument is. But one thing he is trying to figure out is, how do you pay off the politicians to get your point of view across? And so that's what, let's face it, he's throwing $50 million, even though he's a multi-billionaire and that's pocket change to him. But still, $50 million, where is that money going to be going? I would love to see it tracked, because I guarantee you it's going to be winding up in the pockets of some political cronies of his to influence laws.
well, with the Mayors Against Illegal Guns, that group is, they're losing members left and right, because they found out, obviously some of them were actually duped into joining the group, and then when they found out, they wanted to get off the mailing list or off the list, the membership list. He was pressuring the mayors with financial backing for re-elections, etc., to stay with him. So they're bailing out of this organization. So now he's going to form another one to try and another goal.
What it is the carrot and the stick. He will support politicians running against people that are pro-gun, and he will give money to people that are anti-gun. So there's nobody left in the middle, because he supports, in effect, both sides. He's against, by giving money to candidates to knock down the NRA, and he's for his own candidates when he gives them money. So he's paying off both sides to get what he wants as a result in the ballot box. He doesn't realize the politicians get changed by the voters, not by his money.
Well, the really sad thing about his efforts ever since he started Mayors Against Illegal Guns and this other group that he's basically kind of shepherded along, Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and they have a brand new organization that merged the two, is that they're really not going after illegal guns. That's why the mayors were leaving. Once they got in, they thought, hey, this sounds great. I don't want illegal guns. I don't want people who shouldn't. No one wants that, right? Yeah. But then they found out all of the efforts were actually to limit law-abiding citizens getting guns. Now, here's where this becomes a problem for me. Mayor Bloomberg is a multi-billionaire. Good for him. I'm happy for him, and he deserves all of the wealth he's earned. Meanwhile, he travels with an entourage of armed men wherever he goes, because he needs to be kept safe, but he doesn't want Jane and Joe America to have the same rights unless they jump through a bunch of hoops he defines: background checks, waiting periods, the kinds of firearms they can possess.
$2 billion.
And when he was the mayor, it was the NYPD that protected him. And it's my understanding that when he left, he actually hired a bunch of officers and said, hey, I'll pay you more, retire and come work for me.
He is a rich dilettante who, because of his maybe he was beat up as a kid. Now he wants to wield the big stick, and he does it by wielding his money. It's a big bag of cash, and it's all about his political agenda.
Well, and he's delusional.
I have to tell you, it's really not about his political agenda. Everyone thinks that, but he gave an interview to the New York Times just a few days before we are taping this particular show, and it's religion. He's going to go to heaven because he is getting rid of guns. He actually said, I'm going to not look at you folks, I got to look at my notes to get the quote exactly right from the New York Times. He said, I am telling you, if there is a God, when I get to heaven, I'm not stopping to be interviewed. I'm heading straight in. I have earned my place in heaven. It's not even close. That $50 million is to get him in heaven.
That's his ticket.
Oh, the 11th Amendment, gun control. Forgot that one.
You forgot all about
Commandment,
you thought
excuse
this
me.
was gun
11th Commandment.
control. It's not. It's to buy his way into heaven. What a guy. I don't know what to say after a statement like
Yeah,
that.
we're all kind of
I
lost
think that's
for
the
words.
end.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope I didn't offend any religious people in our viewing audience. I know most of you, if not all, are with this kind of a statement out of Bloomberg.
Check us out online at www.firedupwithboberwin.com. Good morning. Welcome to Fired Up with Bob. We're going to take some time and answer some of the questions submitted by our viewers. Does using shot shells in your pistol harm your barrel?
No, they're quite safe in your barrel. No problem. That was easy.
What gun has more stopping power, a 9mm, a 40, or a 45? What is the real difference?
The real difference is very little. When we do studies, police do studies of wound ballistics, and they make large charts of how many bad guys were hit with this single type of cartridge at what range by one bullet or two bullets and so forth. You'll discover that the one-shot stops with 9mm in the best 9mm, the expensive stuff that's, $35 for a 20-round box. You'll get a one-shot stop, meaning one hit in the torso will cause the bad guy to stop whatever it is he's doing about 92% of the time. With 40s, it's about 95% of the time. With 45s, it'll approach 96% of the time, depending on the bullet. So you're dealing with above 90% stop rate with any of them. And generally, the bigger the cartridge gets, the less shots you get in your gun. So it's a trade-off be carrying the same size gun of having 15 9mm or 12 40s or 9 45s. I personally opt for the more shots with the slightly less lethal load, mostly because I've seen so many people over all these years miss so often in gunfights when the chips are down and their hands are shaking and they're sweating and you just lose track of everything in the middle of a gunfight when your life is on the line. So I would personally go for the 9mm. You will get arguments from everybody in the gun business that 40s are better, or 45s are better, or 357 SIGs are better, or 32s are better, or whatever. There's as many opinions as there are experts. Trust me, and buy the 9mm. I'm right.
Another viewer said that they are going on a kayaking and river rafting trip next month, and they want to know if you had any tips for a way to concealed carry that is also waterproof.
Wow. Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. You can use any type of plastic container that keeps water out, and they sell Tupperware at almost every store there is. You can see the gun is in there, so know what it is, so you don't mix it up with your sandwich. And they're very watertight. You might, just to keep the lid from popping off accidentally, put a piece of tape around it or a big rubber band, and it's taken care of. It's going to be waterproof. If it goes underwater, you might want to have a string on it attached to the boat. But it'll sink, and they're hard to find in the rapids.
Well, that's going to end our question segment. If you have anything that you'd like to ask Bob or any of our other panelists, please write us at questions@firedupwithbob.com. Thanks for watching. Check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/firedupwithboberwin.
Hi, this is Tony D with the gun store in Las Vegas, and today's historical firearm is kind of a unique gun. It is the Portuguese FBP M48 submachine gun. This is a unique gun made by the Portuguese, but they stole a lot of features from different manufacturers. The butt stock or the wire stock, they took directly from our grease gun, our M3 grease gun. The bolt assembly is from an MP40. In fact, it is such a close copy of the MP40, we actually use the Portuguese bolt assemblies in our rental MP40 because they're a lot cheaper than the original German ones. The magazine is the British Sten gun magazine. It is the same magazine that they used in the Sten gun, same caliber, 9mm. Also, the Portuguese put a heavy barrel on it with a bayonet lug so they can use their Mauser bayonets on their submachine guns, which was kind of unique also. The gun was used by the Portuguese armed forces and security agencies, and it is a pleasant shooting gun. However, it is exceptionally ugly. So we're going to get into it and fire a couple rounds, and we'll show you how it goes. All right, this is an open bolt type submachine gun, just like most of them are. You cock it back, it'll stay back. You insert the magazine into the gun, and when you fire it, the bolt will go forward, strip a round off the top of the magazine, fire it, and retract. So here we go. It is a pleasant gun to shoot. It's very controllable, and it's pretty accurate. And it's not a bad little gun. It just looks worse than it really is.
Thanks for watching us on Fired Up. We'll look forward to seeing you.